Okay, I'm not one of them. I'm not very creative when it comes to writing and stuff. I just like how to express myself. I just like the way I express myself. That's it. But I'm not a creative writer. That is another field. That is another quality, some people have. And they can write one thing in 10 different ways. Okay. It's a talent. It doesn't come with your language skill only. It is a talent. Okay. Let's say we all use the same Hindi words to talk, but one of us or some of us can be great poets in Hindi. Why? Are we not familiar with those words? Why can't we put them together in that rhythmic way? Because that's not our talent, isn't it? So, similarly, creative writing is also a talent some people possess. They can write one thing in so many different ways. Well, I do not claim that I'm very good at that kind of thing, I'm not a creative writer. I'm a language teacher. I can help you why your sentence is right, what you should think about, which factor you should be careful about so that you don't make this mistake. And that's what I do. Creative writing, is not my forte. Hey, Manisha, very quiet. Hello, Manisha. Very quiet. Even after I said very quiet, nothing, no conversation. What's wrong?
Yes, nothing, sir.
Must be.
No, sir.
Nothing is wrong. Are you
Not.
at work? The way you're sitting, I think you have some students in front of you. You're teaching them. Yeah, I was right. I was right. The way you were sitting, it was obvious. Okay. Well, normally people don't sit like that when they're sitting alone. They're more relaxed. Hello, Yasmin, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, where do we go? First thing, we have plenty of homework, right, today? So, we are going to check all of that one by one. Mm, mhm.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Sabha, ma'am. So, why do you sound so low today? Are you very tired?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Today is Friday.
okay. मैंने कहा, why do you sound so low today? Did you hear me? I used the verb sound for you. Why do you sound so low? Are you very tired? So when people are tired, they sound low.
Good evening, sir.
Hmm. So first thing first, I'm going to check. Oh, there was homework in the practice book as well, wasn't there? Okay. देखिए क्वेश्चन टैग ऐसे यूज करते हैं, ठीक है, बात को अपने खींच देते हैं सिर्फ. Oh, there was homework in the practice book, wasn't there? That's it. I was not waiting for your reply or anything like that. I just had to say this in a colloquial way. ये क्या था? बस बातचीत करने वाला अंदाज था. ये इसको कहते हैं अंदाज. Okay, it's a style, nothing else. And those people who
Hello,
spend
sir.
listen to people using such things. Hello, they end up using them. Where do we go first? I think we should first check you know, this homework where you were supposed to put the paragraphs in the right order. So, paragraph number one is when Diana Spencer married Prince Charles and became Princess Diana. She also became one of the biggest celebrities of the 80s and 90s. When she became Princess Diana, marrying Prince Charles, she also became one of the biggest celebrities of the 80s and 90s. Everybody is familiar with the 80s and 90s. Sabha ma'am, when I say 80s, what does it refer to?
1980 to 1990.
Very well done. Very good. It's a period of 10 years, right? So we call it a decade. Okay. Very
Good
good. She
evening, sir.
wasn't a British, she wasn't a typical British royal. Okay. What does the word typical mean? Typical means like anybody else, not different from the rest. Typical. Okay. For example, let's talk about a typical Indian household, a typical Bihari family, a typical village girl. Now, when I say typical, first of all, we have to assume that there are some qualities. Hey, Simran,
Hello, good evening.
good evening. So, I was saying, um, when we say the word typical, the first thing that we have to think about why we use the word typical, okay? The word typical is used when you first acknowledge that there are some things which are common, okay? So, all village girls have certain common qualities. First, assume it. And if you don't agree with it, you will never use the word typical. That's the point. First, you have to acknowledge that all village girls have certain qualities, common qualities. And if a girl has all those qualities, then you can call her a typical village girl. Got it, guys? So, logically speaking, where is her? Kalpana, she was supposed to be here. She was just grilling me about the difference between. Uh-huh. Just a second, guys. What the hell? Just give me a second, please. Okay. Mm-hmm. Today is the 21st? No, it's the 20th. So, a typical British accent. A typical British accent. What does it mean? Like all other people who have British accent? Similar? Typical means common. Okay, so, he's just a typical office goer, 9 to 5 job holder. He leaves home at 9, comes home in the evening, spends time with his children. A typical 9 to 5 office goer. Okay. A typical movie star who just loves to, show off how popular he is. Okay. So typical word is used like many other. It is to highlight, not different. I don't want to be a typical husband and stop my wife from going out. I don't want to be a typical Indian husband. Now, some people can argue with me when I make this statement, right? They will say, how do you mean? Why do you say a typical Indian husband? You don't want to stop your wife from going out. You mean to say typical Indian husbands stop their wives from going out? How many husbands do you know? People can argue with me. Understand? It doesn't mean my use of the word was wrong. It means they do not agree with my opinion. Is that okay? Some people will say, Vinay sir is not a typical English language teacher. And some will say, what is so different about him then? Okay. So two different people can have two different opinions. One could say, Vinay sir is a typical English teacher, and somebody will say, hey, he's not a typical English teacher. This is just an opinion. Now they are both right in their own opinion. Okay. What does the person mean when he says Vinay sir is a typical English teacher? okay, like all other teachers, okay? And when somebody says Vanessa is not a typical English teacher, then that person says that there are certain things about me which set me apart, which make me stand out, okay? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Typical.
In
Hello.
Litti Chukha test of a
Sabaji?
typical test of Bihar.
Okay, fine. I can understand what you mean. I
But
understand
my
what you mean.
sentence is not arranged in right way.
Uh, I understand what you mean. Um, what is taste of Bihar?
Uh, Food.
You said typical taste of Bihar. You said, right? So I would like to know from you, what is it?
Typical food taste. Typical food taste.
I'm not questioning your English, ma'am. I'm not
Yes,
questioning your
sir.
English. Please understand. The problem is the moment I get into a conversation with my students, many of them start to think that maybe they made a mistake in English. Well, no, I'm just trying to ask you what is a typical Bihari taste, you know?
Litti Chokha.
Oh, no, then you are getting it all wrong. Okay, let's say it now, because I asked you to answer that question. Look, Biharis love garlic in their food, don't they? We use a lot of garlic. A lot of Biharis, majority of Biharis use a lot of garlic in their food. Everything we make, even pitha, a lot of garlic. You know, chicken, a lot of garlic.
Yes, sir.
Chow mein, a lot of garlic. You know, chow mein is a Bihari version of chow mein. We add garlic to it. Okay. Chicken chili, garlic, a lot of garlic. So if that was your point of view, and if you had said, that liti chokha has a typical Bihari taste, what it means is it is also full of garlic, okay, or something like that. I would have agreed. Your sentence was right, nothing wrong. But then perhaps you didn't know what you were saying in Hindi and it was not in English. आपके मन में क्या था वो मुझे नहीं पता हिंदी में. आपका सेंटेंस सही था, इंग्लिश में सुनने में सही लगा, लेकिन आप क्या सोच रहे थे मुझे कन्वे नहीं कर पाए आप हिंदी में, क्योंकि मैंने सवाल पूछ के वो जानने की कोशिश की थी कि आपके मन में क्या चल रहा था. गॉट इट? जैसे कि अगर मैं जाकर किसी को कहूं कैन आई हैव अ लीटर ऑफ वाटर, ठीक है, और मेरे मन में चल रहा है कि मैं उससे
Liter.
मांगू 1 लीटर दूध, ठीक है, तो दोनों ही बातें वो सही सेंटेंस है लेकिन वो गलत बात है क्योंकि मेरे मन वाली बात वो नहीं थी. राइट? पॉइंट मेरा ये है. वेरी वेरी बेसिक, वेरी बेसिक. तो आप अपनी हिंदी बता दें मुझे, आप क्या बोलना चाह रही थी?
लिट्टी चोखा टिपिकल फूड है बिहार का.
तो लिट्टी चोखा इज अ टिपिकल बिहारी फूड बोलना था. इट्स अ टिपिकल
Typical Bihari food.
टिपिकल बिहारी
Yes,
फूड.
sir. My sentence arrangement wasn't good, sir.
Litti chokha is a typical Bihari food. And what is typical about it? People will ask. Okay. What is typical about it? Then you will say, yeah, it has all those things that you normally put in Bihari food. Like you have garlic, you have sattu. So it's a typical Bihari food. Got it?
Yes, sir.
All right. My mother is a typical Hindu woman who, believes having a bath is necessary before you have your meals for religious reasons. She will say her prayers in the morning and then she will have her breakfast. So she's a typical Hindu woman. All right. It means, I hope you understand what a typical word here means. If you ask me, then I'll have to define, but I think everybody understands. Okay. Can I give another example with the word typical here? A typical politician, a typical politician is a very honest person, right, guys?
No.
A typical politician is a very honest person. Yes or no? Khushi, are you done? The foreigner is resting now. Okay, please answer. No, then you have to attend the class as well. Come on, everybody. Imrana, Sanjeev, Saurabh, you have to say something because I'm asking a question. A typical politician is very honest. Sabaji, if you can't
No,
decide, you're not able to decide or you think it is not true? Or it is
It is
not, it
not
is
true,
true.
sir.
It is not true. Because I told you, typical means having the common qualities. A politician has this common quality that he is honest.
No, sir.
That's why I said a typical politician is not
They
honest.
are
A typical politician is not honest. Okay. A typical possessive Indian wife. A typical possessive Indian wife. Got it? Now, when I say this, how many married women here? We have three, four actually. Let's see how many of them agree. Do you think something like this exists? A typical possessive Indian wife. Do you guys agree that most Indian wives are possessive?
yes, sir. I
Yes.
agree.
Yeah, Imrana says yes. Sabaji says yes. Manisha, Yasmin, ma'am, come on. Time to cast your vote.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, Rasana. A typical Indian, typical possessive Indian wife. Or do you want to drop the word Indian and think it is universal? Rasana, you tell me. A typical possessive Indian wife. Okay. I didn't want a typical possessive wife. Okay. I didn't want a typical possessive wife. Okay. Normally, wives are very possessive. They don't like it when their husbands talk to someone. They start to feel insecure. Okay. The other day, I spent 2.5 hours playing Ludo with a foreigner and some other girls. Okay, there were 4 or 5 people actually. Yeah. And you trust me. Yeah. So, and we were making a lot of jokes while we were playing. I was on the call with them as well. So we were joking and everything. So yeah, my wife said, "Kuch kar lijiye behtar," you know. All right, that's all she said. Just go and do something meaningful. I said, I'm entertaining myself. It's very important. So that's all the conversation was. It was not like she was throwing things around, very, very upset what you're doing with other women, you know. Okay. So typical means everybody understands having the common qualities, common characteristics. Okay. Rosanna is not a typical Italian woman as far as I think.
Oh no, I am
Well,
not. No, you are right. I'm not really typical, but I'm an ancient typical, not modern.
all right. But
Sir, a,
I think you are a
sir, a
typical.
typical white think like that. हम ही थे जो शादी कर लिए आपसे मेरे से अच्छी नहीं मिलेगी. This is a common.
Come again, Imrana. You say this to your husband.
Yeah, no, sir. It's happened in, yeah, most of the wife when they married,
They
and
get
they
uh-huh.
said, yeah, they said only one dialogue. हम ही थे जो आपसे शादी कर लिए मेरे से अच्छी लड़की नहीं मिलेगी.
Oh, okay. Self praise is no recommendation, Imrana. Okay, remember this. When somebody else gives you compliments, that's better than giving yourself a compliment. So when wives say, "Oh, you wouldn't find somebody better than me," okay, then that's useless because it's self praise.
I heard this dialogue, sir.
I know, it's a typical thing wives say. Okay. Wives typically call their husband AG. Notice how I'm using the word typically, okay? Indian wives
Yes.
typically call their husbands AG.
AG, OG.
Okay. Rusana, Indian wives typically don't call their husbands with their names. They believe that if they call their husbands with their names, their husband's life will be shortened. They will not live a long life. So
Oh,
yeah, in order to stay married for longer, they don't call their husbands with their names. So they give them nicknames like AG, which is like, hey, 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 only AG. All right.
hey, hey,
Yeah.
yes.
Sonu ke papa. Yeah. All right. Okay. Savaji, what do you call your husband?
I call her his
Call
name.
it-
AG.
You call him AG?
No, no.
Then?
सुन रहे हैं.
No existence of his name. सुन रहे हैं. Are you,
Sir,
can you hear
me.
me? Are you
I
listening
call
to
him by
me?
name.
Yeah, Imrana?
Yeah, I call him by name, sir.
Okay. He's a
Yeah.
real, or you have
No
seen him?
matter where my sasur and sas, doesn't matter.
And
My
do they,
my mother-in-law has scolded me when I.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. How do your parents-in-law react to that, Imrana, when you call him by his name?
It's normal, sir.
Do they not mind? Do they not
No,
ask you, don't do this?
no,
Really?
no,
No negativity, no passive
no
aggression even.
negativity, sir. No,
Wow,
no
that's
issue.
amazing. Then your parents-in-law are very open-minded, I must say.
And
My
my क्या bhabhi Gutni.
Mhm.
She call her name. Yeah, she call her husband
calls.
by
Mhm.
name. Yeah,
She calls.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
She calls.
Yeah. Mm. Yes, Saurav. You know, my wife doesn't call me by my name. And if she did, my mom is gonna be furious. My mom is gonna get really angry at her. Okay, she will say, if you are gonna do it in private. Okay, when you guys are alone, don't do it in front of me. She's gonna react this way. My mom is a
And
typical.
my mom said, "Don't call your husband by name because मतलब शौहर का नाम नहीं लिया जाता, गुनाह पड़ता है." तो हम बोले कि इज्जत तो दिल से होता है, नाम में कुछ नहीं रखा है.
Who said this to you that it should not say call your husband by
और
name?
रीति रिवाज,
Who says this?
like
Which member of your
my
family?
mom and my खानदान,
Oh, your family.
relatives.
Your
Yeah.
your own family. Okay, got it. Hmm. And yeah, great. So move on. When Diana Spencer married Prince Charles and became Princess Diana, she also became one of the biggest celebrities of the 80s and 90s. She wasn't a typical British royal, however. Notice the position of however at the end of the sentence. Okay? The sentence ends with a full stop. She wasn't a typical British royal, however. So, what was different about her? Typical British royal, okay? She was not one of them. She was not a typical British royal. She had an informal style. Now, what does this tell you about typical British royal? They have a formal style. They have a formal style because she was not a typical British royal and she had an informal style. It means that typical British royals have formal style.
Formal styles.
Yeah, have a
Style.
special ability to connect with ordinary people. Now, most royals can't connect with ordinary people, right? Because they're royal family members, they have lived a different kind of life, they find it difficult to connect with ordinary people. She had a special ability to connect with ordinary people. Paragraph number 2, everyone.
In 1980.
In
Saurabh is
1980s.
asking me how do I think your future wives will call you guys, young guys here. Let me tell you, I think anything better than kutta is fine. I will say, as long as they don't use swear words for you guys, you should be grateful. Okay, that's what I'm worried about. They might not call you guys with your names. They might call you with some swear words, best saler stuff like that. So that's what I'm worried about. And that's where it is going. Okay, next. Number 2, paragraph number 2. Which paragraph do you guys think will be number 2?
In the 1980s.
Last one in 1980s, people lived
In
The last one, sir.
fear of the
in the
newly.
1980s. This is paragraph number 2. Everybody agrees or some people have a different opinion?
Yes, sir. In the 1980s.
In the 1980s.
In the 1980s, people lived in fear of the newly discovered AIDS virus.
Right,
In
Paris.
the 1980s, people lived in fear of, okay, people lived in fear of the newly discovered AIDS virus and were afraid of contact with people suffering from it. And people were afraid. People were afraid of contact. People were afraid of contact with people suffering from it. So if somebody was suffering from AIDS virus, then other people did not make contact with them. They stayed away from them. They socially boycotted them. Even their family members left them alone, worrying that they might catch the infection too. In 1987, In 1987, Diana opened Britain's first AIDS hospital ward. In 1987, Diana opened Britain's first AIDS hospital ward. The photograph of her shaking hands with AIDS patients without wearing gloves. The photograph of her shaking hands with AIDS patients without wearing gloves. Notice why there is a comma here, because this is extra information. Whenever you give extra information, then you put a comma so that people can separate that piece of information. The photograph of her shaking hands with AI AIDS patients without wearing gloves completely changed people's ideas about the illness. See how much power these people have, these are special people. One gesture of theirs can change people's mindset. She shook hands with patients, eight patients, without wearing gloves. And when people saw that photo, they thought that if the queen can, if the princess can shake hands with AIDS patients, it means we can do it too, because it's not bad, it's not dangerous, it's not risky. Hmm. Yeah, Ronaldo, the player, removed Coca-Cola, some carbonated drinks, from in front of this camera where he was doing a press briefing. Yes. Number three was talking to the media. Okay, number three.
The last second one.
Second last, we say. Second last.
Second
Two
last.
other hospitals that Diana often visited were the Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children and the Royal Marsden. Okay, two other hospitals that Diana often visited were this and this. Two other hospitals that Diana often visited were the Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children and the Royal Marsden. Both are
I
in
think
London.
third is the right order.
Okay, you have a different opinion. Anybody else differs here?
Diana did the same for leprosy.
Yeah.
Well done. Dinah did the same for leprosy. This seems like the correct paragraph following this one, okay?
Yes,
About
it.
the illness. Dinah did the same for leprosy. The fear of catching it from sufferers is centuries old. Yes. The fear of catching it. Catching what? Leprosy.
AIDS.
Leprosy. Now, we have moved on from AIDS. We are talking about leprosy now. The fear of catching leprosy from sufferers is centuries old. Okay, now the other day I asked you a question and you guys flopped big time. Sufferers and is, right or wrong?
Sufferers?
I want you to notice this sentence.
This is right because the sufferers are the patients. Sufferers.
Yes, sir. Just a second, people. What's wrong? Why can't I? Uh-huh.
I think
I'm coming. I didn't know. There are a lot of things that I take for granted. I think everybody will notice. I can show you at least 5, 6 similar sentences in the elementary course. Okay? And I have my reasons to believe that you guys noticed it. And I'm feeling disappointed, honestly speaking. Okay? I am feeling disappointed. And why won't I? How do I highlight it? What do I do to highlight it? Not this. Arrow, rectangle, cloud. What do I do to highlight it? Okay. Opacity. Okay. This opacity. Now, opacity. I just need to. Opacity is 100%. Okay. Now, give me a second. Still not. Which one? This. This. Here. Draw, line, arrow, rectangle, circle, text call out. Okay.
The green last time you highlighted by green.
Add comment, replace, select, insert, add, attach files. I don't know. Let's see.
Sir, what you want to do?
I want to highlight the text.
Please put a cursor on the color.
Okay.
Red color. Like
The third one.
Yes. Took it. Highlight. Yes, yes. I think I can do it now. What's wrong?
No.
Highlight. Underline. Strike through. Highlight.
sir, put
Yes.
Remove this one, sir. Okay.
Remove which one? This. Oh, yeah. Thank you, guys. You guys help me out. Sometimes I feel really lost. Okay, everybody, I want your attention on this sentence. I know at least there are a couple of students who will answer it correctly. Okay, I don't know about the rest. Look at the sentence. The fear of catching it from sufferers is centuries old. I've put the word is here. Why not are? That's my question. Somebody has to tell me, please. I can show you at least 6-7 examples like
Maybe
this.
because it's an idea
What are you
people
talking?
have.
Okay, guys, can we not simplify it? The verb is according to the subject. Yes. The verb, if the subject is singular, then the verb will be is. If the subject is plural, the verb will be are. If the subject is singular, the verb will be goes. If the subject is plural, the verb will be go. So why don't you simply answer on that basis? Why are you just going in so many different directions which you should not venture into? Please tell me.
So sufferers is a group of people.
Okay, everybody, I'm sorry about it. Is centuries old? Now answer the question I'm asking. What is centuries old? What
Fear
is
of
centuries
catching.
old? Answer.
Fear of catching.
The
What
fear of
is,
literacy.
what is centuries old?
The fear.
The fear is old. Centuries old. The fear. The fear is singular or plural? Are we saying sufferers? Sufferers are centuries old? That you guys are thinking. When I said, can we not use are? You should have said, sir, sufferers is not the subject. Why shall we have are? We are not saying sufferers are centuries old. We are saying the fear is centuries old. I can show you many sentences, and I'm going to take the trouble and I'm going to highlight a lot of sentences from the elementary book, okay, where you will have is next to a plural noun. Why? Because that's not the subject of the sentence. Now tell me, one of my uncles is a doctor or are a doctor?
Is a doctor.
Why uncles is there, then why is a doctor? Why not are a doctor?
Because one of the uncles.
One is a doctor. Simple. One is a doctor, not uncles is a doctor. I'm not saying uncles is a doctor. I'm saying one is a doctor. So the verb should be according to the subject. You guys are failing to notice what the subject is. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So what is the subject here? The
The fear.
fear. The fear of catching leprosy from sufferers is centuries old. The fear is old. And we added so many things to the word fear. The fear of what? The fear of catching leprosy. Catching leprosy, how? From sufferers. The fear is centuries old. This fear is not new. This fear is old, centuries old. Now, do you think that you should have simply answered it that way? That sufferers is not the subject? So, if you guys want sufferers to be the subject, then the sentence becomes sufferers are centuries old. Does it make sense?
No.
Are we talking about that? No, we're saying the fear of catching it from sufferers is centuries old. For centuries, people have believed that if they come in contact with anybody who has leprosy, they will catch it too. Leprosy is not a disease that spreads with touch, contact. But because it is a disgusting feeling, a sight, those people who have leprosy. Do you know what leprosy is called in Hindi? Okay, kust.
Kushroog.
Okay.
Yes.
No.
And in local language, what do we call it? Code. Okay. And it sounds really bad. I hate this.
Or
I just said it. I don't like the sound of this word. I don't like the sound of this word. I find it amazing. Is it just my this is a topic, this is a subject, by the way, people. We call it semantics. Okay, you have to study semantics. Semantics is a subject. Why certain words have certain meanings? How do they means to study how words came into origin, like code. Okay, do when I say this word again, the second time I said it, does it sound like a nice thing to your ears? Just, I know the meaning, maybe it's the meaning that is affecting the way you feel about it, or it is the sound. The sound is not nice. Okay, for example, let's go to some people here, but the problem is I've already explained it to them. I was gonna just check whether they, okay, hey, you know what, I don't know how right it is because I'm not a student of semantics, but there are certain words that are nice to hear. Do you agree that there are certain words which you'll enjoy just hearing them? You just enjoy hearing them. Are there some words that you just love hearing or saying? They make this just sound happy, and there are certain words that make you unhappy somehow. So one thing could be the meaning associated with that word, and another thing could be the sound that the word possesses. And I think it varies from language to language. For example, a certain sound might be very common to those words which are, I will say, positive words, and a certain sound might be very common, with those words which are not very nice, which are bad or something. I'm just saying it from my experience, maybe, or maybe a little bit of memory of what I've read. But okay, code. The word sounds really, really bad to me. Kush doesn't. Somehow, kush doesn't sound that bad to me. Okay, when I say the word kush, it doesn't sound that bad to me. But that, Bihari word definitely sounds really, really bad to.
Yeah, code. Yeah, then
eh,
code likes.
Yeah, I don't like it. That's why I don't use this word unless I'm really angry. I won't call anybody that word, what you just said, unless I'm really angry. I can't. I'll, okay. The fear of catching it from sufferers is centuries old. There are so many similar sentences, guys. Okay. The nature of girls is or are very beautifully portrayed in this story.
Is
Why again? Because what is portrayed?
the nature.
Nature, not girls are portrayed. The nature of girls. Okay. All right, fine. There are at least six, seven. At least I think there can be many more, maybe, There are a lot of sentences like this in the elementary course book where you will see the verb not exactly like the noun just before it. Like here, sufferers is a plural noun and the verb is. But I think if I had not highlighted this, you guys would not have noticed it. I was very surprised. I was kind of shocked 2 days ago when I asked you guys and you failed to notice that mistake in that cat question. I was expecting you guys would get it easily. The fear of
Sir,
catching it. Yes.
the names of the pigs is right or the name of the pigs? Which one is correct?
Okay. So, Manisha, will you take any answer I will give you or will you argue with me? First, my question is that.
Yes, sir.
Will you take any answer I will give you or will you argue with me when I give you an answer?
No, sir, I don't want to argue.
Then I can't help you. Okay, maybe I have to rephrase my question. Will you take any answer I will give you, or will you use your reason to understand why my answer is right, why I'm giving this answer, not the other answer? Will you try to understand the reason, or you will take that answer, whatever I say to you?
Sir, I want to know the reason behind it.
So you will understand. Okay, let's see. So you're saying the names of the pigs or the name of the pigs. Am I right? Now, clearly, in this situation, there are pigs, means more than one. Now, what happens? Do you think the pigs have one name or more than one? Because there are multiple pigs, so there will be multiple names as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is one of those, phrases in English where either you write this or that, there will be a little bit of confusion, but still there is something called um, uh, you know convention that you have to follow. So the convention says because these pigs will have different names, so that's why you should stay with the plural noun, the names of these pigs. Okay, the names of these pigs. And I know okay, guys, tell me why this answer can this phrase can confuse some people. The wives of my brothers the wives of my brothers, understand what I'm saying? Okay. When I say the wives of my brother, what do you understand, guys? Am I talking about one brother? Obviously, no. Rosanna is
No.
giving a shaker of her head. It's easy to respond. Why do you need time? Because I said the wives of my brothers, and I think your common sense says brothers is a plural noun. You know this much English, so you can say, no, I'm not talking about one brother. And if I have two brothers or three or more or whatever, and I'm saying the wives of my brothers, so I'm talking about their individual wives, their respective wives. Okay, everybody has their wives, and I'm talking about them. The wives of my brothers keep arguing with each other, keep fighting with each other all the time, and that's why I don't want to get married. The wives of my brothers keep fighting with each other. And that makes me feel sad. I don't want to get married. I don't want to bring another fighter to that group. Okay. So, the wives of my brothers, okay? Now listen to this. If you guys want to understand why I'm saying there should be a confusion. The children of my brothers. The children of my brothers. Now, when I say the children of my brothers, now can you be sure how many children my brothers have? From this expression when I'm saying this phrase, the children of my brothers. What do you guys think?
Maybe two or more.
More than one.
More than one.
What if each brother has one child, just like each brother has one wife? And I still said the wives of my brothers. Is it not possible that each brother has just one child and still I'm saying the children of my brothers? Why not? It's same logic applies. Please understand. When I
It's
said the
possible.
wives of my brothers, each brother has a wife. Suppose I have two brothers, so the wives of my brothers. If I have three brothers, the wives of my brothers, three wives, okay? So each of them has just one wife. And I'm saying the wives of my brothers, okay? Now, when I say the children of my brothers, then how do we know whether my brothers have one child or more than one child? So this phrase doesn't really clarify that. Okay? Understand? Now listen to this carefully. In India or in America or in Italy, if you say the wives of my brothers, because of the social convention, people will think one wife for each brother, right? But if you said the same phrase, the wives of my brothers, in Sarab's country, Iraq, or in Saudi Arabia, people might think two or three or four wives for one man because the phrase doesn't make it clear. So that is what I wanted you to understand here. Are you guys getting the point I'm trying to highlight here? The why, Kushi, because you're not paying attention, I guess. You are too intelligent not to understand this. Okay, it's easy. When I say the children of my brothers, maybe my brothers have one child each. Maybe my brothers have two or three children each. But the phrase will remain the same. The children of my brothers. Am I right? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Maybe I have two, three, four brothers. Each of them has just one child. Or each of them have two, three, four children. But in either situation, the phrase will remain the same. The children of my brothers. Am I right, guys?
Yeah.
Or my brother's children. My brother's children. When I say my brother's children, my brothers, plural brothers, okay, plural brothers, children. Now, maybe each of them has two, three, or one has one, the other has two, one has three. We can't be sure. So, similarly, when I say the wives of my brothers, okay, that could also mean that maybe my brothers have somebody has one wife, one brother has one wife, another brother has three wives, maybe because the phrase says the wives of my brother or my brothers actually. So if you still do not understand what I'm saying, I think Rosanna gets it. Rosanna, you understand what I'm saying?
This phrase is not described.
This phrase does
I
not
also
say
saw.
very definitively whether your brothers have one wife each or multiple or the same number for each one of them or different numbers. It's not clear. The only thing that we are saying is they have wives. Okay. And that's why these phrases can be very confusing. So when you say the names of the pigs, and the same rule applies there, the same logic can be applied there. Maybe one pig has two, three names, right? Or maybe each pig has a name, but because there are pigs, so the names of the pigs. Are you getting the point? So this is an interesting question in English because English language is not, I will say, sophisticated enough to clarify what it actually means here, and that's how they compare English and Sanskrit, and they often say Sanskrit is one of the most scientific language you will come across. What does it mean? Sanskrit is one of the most scientific languages, or probably the most scientific language you will come across. What does it mean? Some people reject these ideas, thinking that, okay, maybe some Hindu supremacists, push such ideas. But everything is not about religion. There are certain things which are about facts. Sanskrit language is very difficult to confuse because there is very little opportunity or chance for ambiguity there. In Sanskrit, when you write or say things, there will be one possible meaning for a sentence. You cannot say this sentence could mean this or could mean that. Okay. Especially following the grammar that you have. Again, this is what a lot of people have said. Those people who are not from India, who have studied Sanskrit, and they have made this comment about Sanskrit, that it reduces the chances of ambiguity. There is ambiguity here. Do you understand what I'm saying? Children of my brothers. Now, how do you know what I'm saying, whether they have one child or multiple children? You can't be specific about it. My brother's children love me. My brother's children love me. Now, I love my brother's children. I love the children of my brothers. When I make these statements, you do not have a very clear picture. Maybe I will go to the whiteboard and explain to you why both these things, why it is an ambiguous sentence. So, Manisha, when you asked me that, it will always remain ambiguous, no matter what. Okay? It will always remain ambiguous. Okay, I will need this. So, I have a brother here. I have another brother here. This brother has a child. Okay. And this brother also has a child. All right. And now think about it. I'm saying the children of my brothers, because there are two children here. Clearly you can see, right? So I'm saying the children of my brothers, these are my brothers. B1, B2. The children of my brothers are cute. Okay? I will say this clearly. Can I say the child of my brothers? Can I say the child of my brothers when I'm talking about two kids? Can I say the child of my brothers? I will say the children of my brothers, okay, are cute. And now if I put another, suppose this guy has two, okay, this guy has, all right, two, and this guy has three sons. Okay. Now I will still say the same sentence now. The children of my brothers are cute. So how can you be sure about this? So it is an ambiguous sentence. It doesn't give so much of clarity. Have I made my point clear to you? Hope so. Okay. All right. The fear of catching it from sufferers is centuries old. That's why I asked Manisha, will you take my answer, any answer I'll give you, or will you do reasoning? If you're ready to do reasoning, then I'm ready to explain because I knew it would need extra explanation. And if you just wanted a right, wrong answer, I was not keen. I was not very interested. Okay. Always use your mind. The fear of catching it from sufferers is centuries old. What is centuries old? The fear of catching leprosy from its sufferers. This whole idea is centuries old. And when Dinah visited a leprosy hospital in Indonesia, her advisor suggested she shouldn't touch them. Take a look at this particular part. Her advisor suggested she shouldn't touch them. There can be a grammar question, common error question. Her advisor suggested not to touch them. Not to, wrong English. Wrong English. Very, very, advanced level grammar, but wrong. Her advisor suggested she should not touch them. So whenever you use the verb suggest, avoid 2 plus B1. Avoid 2 plus B1. You can use her advisors told her not to touch them. Her advisors requested her not to touch them. But with the verb suggested, you cannot say her advisor suggested not to touch them. You can't do that. I hope you are making notes. Guys, it's important. Her advisor suggested she shouldn't touch them. I advise you should do revision. I advise you should do revision. Sir advised me that I should do revision. Okay, you can't say sir advised me to do revision. Can't say that. A lot of people say this sentence because it seems like okay, but it is not. Okay. So, sir suggested me to do something is wrong English, guys. Somebody suggested me to do something is wrong English. What is correct? Somebody suggested me that I should do something. And in British English, you can drop should as well. Sir suggested me that, or sir suggested me, sir suggested that I do revision. Sir suggested that I do revision. This is also correct. But sir suggested me to do revision is wrong. Sir suggested me to do revision is wrong. Please write it and cross it and keep it in mind. Just no question. It just violates the grammar rule of English. That's it. People will understand, and that's why a lot of foreign learners of English will use that sentence that way. Suggested me to do something. I suggested him to go home. No, no, no. I suggested that he should go home. I suggested that he should go home. Got it?
So same applied in avoid
I
sentence.
suggested you to go morning walk.
Wrong English, right? So, Zafri, it's wrong English.
Should go morning walk.
Exactly. I suggested that you should go, or I suggest that you go, or you should go for, for a walk in the morning. Yeah, for a morning walk. Yes, Yasmin, ma'am?
Sir, with avoid in the same
Avoid.
sentence. Yeah, avoid.
He told me to avoid something. He avoided to see me. No, no. Why? No. We don't have to follow this rule. We don't have to follow this rule. Give me a sentence, Yasmin, ma'am. What are you thinking? Tell me what you're thinking.
मैं पूछ रही थी अवॉइड और सजेस्टेड दोनों के साथ सेम रूल अप्लाई होगा या अलग अलग?
मैंने पूछा, give me an example. Why did you bring up avoid? Of all the words you brought up avoid. So that's what I'm saying. Please tell me, which sentence do you have on your mind? There are thousands of words, millions of words in English. You thought of avoid when I was talking about suggest. So do you have an example sentence? And if not, then I...
He suggested me to avoid something is wrong word.
Okay. Listen, Yasmin ma'am. Thank you for saying this. Because I understood your problem better. This is why I talk. A doctor talks to the patient. Similarly, teacher talks to the student to understand what actually the problem is. I made it very clear, Yasmin ma'am. After suggest, we will avoid 2 plus V1 structure. What that V1 is, doesn't matter. We will avoid 2 plus V1 structure after suggest. What I'm saying is, we should avoid saying, I suggested him to do something. We should avoid this structure, this pattern. Is that clear? Instead of this, we should say, I suggested that he should do something.
Okay, sir. I got it.
Let me give one more example. I suggested that he should avoid fried food. The doctor suggested that he should avoid fried food. Okay?
Yes.
We have to use V1 with 2 always. We can use V2.
Yes, 2 plus V1, 2 plus V1. That's a very common pattern. We call it infinitive. Okay? To infinitive. We call it to infinitive.
Like I suggest you, I suggest that you should avoid fried food.
Perfect sentence. Everybody has understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I will suggest that के साथ भी बन सकता है.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Carry on with that.
I will suggest that he should avoid
absolutely. That is optional. That is optional. You can put the word that, you can drop the word that. It doesn't change anything. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Diana. Do we have more discussion? Okay. The fear of catching it from sufferers is centuries old. And when Diana visited a leprosy hospital in Indonesia, her advisors suggested she shouldn't touch them. Can you see the word that has been dropped here? If you want, you can put the word that. Her advisors suggested that she shouldn't touch them. Okay, that's okay. Diana sat on their beds. Diana sat on their
On
beds
their bed.
and held their hands. She sat on their beds and held their hands. Held is the V2 of hold, very commonly mistaken, okay? Hold is the V1, held is the V2. Diana sat on their beds and held their hands, showing that you can't catch leprosy through physical contact. Sing Saab, she ordered me that I do not stare other girls. Stare is a transitive verb. Or stare at, you can say, stare at, okay? Don't stare at other girls, stare at, okay? She
Sir,
ordered me that, yes, sorry.
sir, we can make sentence without put that, or it is necessary to put that here. Suggested, after suggested.
Ma'am, can you see that is not present here? Can you see this here?
Yeah, yes, sir.
That has been dropped. And I said you can use that, you can drop it, it won't make a difference.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Yes. Her advisors suggested that she
The
shouldn't touch
bird,
them.
the bird leprosy. Is it name, sir? Why are you laughing?
I didn't know that capital L is written this way. Because you said, is it a name? If it was a name, then, Oh, okay. Ignore it, Manisha. Ignore it. You know what, Nisha? You can just do this on your screen rather than do all this trouble, take all this trouble. Just pinch and your screen will zoom out, zoom in, and you will see the bigger words. Okay. Yeah, that's all you have to do. Okay. The best thing
Yes, sir.
about
It's the
smartphones.
name. It's the name.
It's a name. It's the name of what? Proper noun. It's a proper noun.
Uh, yes, sir.
Why do you think it is a proper noun?
Sir, because it is written with capital letter.
No, where is the capital letter?
Sir, L.
No, it's not capital, is it? देखा मैंने क्वेश्चन टैग यूज किया ओके तो ऐसी आदत पड़ जाती है आपको ज्यादा टेंशन ना लें इस बारे में okay it's not a capital letter leprosy means kushstroke we have already talked about it haven't we in English we call it leprosy okay move on Diana sat on their beds and held their hands comma showing that you can't catch leprosy through physical contact so when she did this is what happened. She showed everybody that you can't catch leprosy through physical contact. Showing that you can't catch leprosy through physical contact. Now, number 4, everyone. I think now you can go with 2 other hospitals that Dinah often visited, were the Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children and the Royal Marsden. Both are in London and have many child cancer patients. Both are in London and have many child cancer patients. Child cancer patients? Who? Child cancer patients. Okay. Dinah spent many hours with them, saying, some of them will live and some will die, but they all need to be loved while they're here. Some people have said, I know it won't matter even a bit here, but just repeating. Some people say, it's very easy to stay in your cozy homes and have all the luxuries of modern lives and believe in God. And then you go to a cancer hospital for children, and then you see, how merciful God is when you see so many children, because cancer is a very painful disease, people say. Those who have this disease, they don't just die, they die putting up with bit by bit, putting up with a lot of pain, excruciating pain. It's really, really awful. Okay. And like I said, it's very easy to sit in our homes and eat non-veg, when we get chicken packed in the, those things. But when you have to cut the chicken, a lot of people will simply refuse. They will never eat, if you make them. So life, okay, forget it. Forget that I said anything. Ignore my last 10 seconds, guys. And look at the next. 2 other hospitals that Dinah, okay, some of them will live and some will die, but they all need to be loved while they're here. But they all need to be loved while they're here. They all need to be loved while they're here. Okay. Number 5. Paragraph number 5. Give me the first line of paragraph number 5. Nobody is saying anything. Manisha, you didn't have time to
First
read.
one.
Okay.
After CD what?
After her divorce.
The first paragraph, right, is number 5. After her divorce
Oh,
from Prince Charles in 1996, Diana appeared less often in public. She appeared less often. More often, less often, easy. When you read less often, can you think of more often as well?
After her divorce from Prince Charles
Who's talking?
in 1996.
Sabaji. Okay. After her divorce from Prince Charles in 1996, Diana appeared less often in public. In public. In public. She appeared less often in public. And did less charity work. Did less charity work. She
less
appeared
charity.
less often and did less charity work. Okay. Okay. Part of a speech. I will take here. I'll ask you. Guys, ये less और ये less एक ही part of a speech है या अलग part of a speech है? Are they the same part of a speech or different parts of a speech?
I don't know what is part of a speech.
Okay. Let me simplify my question. Thank you for asking. I like my students who respond even like this. Okay. So, are they both nouns? Are they both adjectives? Are they both verbs? Are they both adverbs?
After did
Or-
less is, I think, a verb.
okay. You need to think more deeply, I can say. All right, guys? Think more deeply. Read the sentence a couple of times. Try and understand the meaning, and then think about the words later. First of all, read the sentence a couple of times. Diana appeared less often in public and did less charity work.
These both are adverb.
Okay. Do you have a logic? Do you know the reason why you're saying this? I'll tell you. Less often. Okay, less often.
Oh,
Often is a frequency adverb. Often is a frequency adverb. Often, always, sometimes, never, rarely. These are called frequency adverbs. They talk about how often somebody does something. Okay. So, often itself is an adverb. Less is coming for often. Okay. So, another adverb can qualify an adverb. So, Dinah appeared less often. This less is an adverb. She appeared less often. Okay, let me give you another. Let me give you another example. She ran very fast. She ran fast. Fast is an adverb, everybody. She ran fast. Fast is an adverb. She ran very fast. Very is also an adverb because it is qualifying an adverb. So, very is also an adverb. Okay. Now, Dinah appeared less often. Less is an adverb. Now, let's move on. And did less charity work. Charity work is a noun. Charity work is a noun. Less is an adjective. So, one is an adverb, the other is an adjective. Again, you have to understand charity work is a noun. Charity work, things that you do to help other people, money and all. Okay. So, charity work. She did less charity work. So, less is an adjective because a noun can be qualified by an adjective. Everybody understands, or do I need to explain it in Hindi? I'm open to it if you need my help.
Got it, sir.
Everybody else? The first less is an adverb, the second less is an adjective. I'm giving you the reasoning. Often is an adverb. You might have read, frequency adverbs. Okay, yeah. At the elementary level, we learned it in the pre-intermediate course as well. and less often, more often. After all, you are saying something about often, right? So you're saying something about an adverb. Which word can say something about an adverb? Another adverb. Okay? There are two words that qualify other words. One is an adjective that qualifies a noun, that says something about a noun, that adds some meaning to a noun. And when it comes to adverbs, they add meaning to everything except a noun. They add meaning to a verb, they add meaning to an adjective. For example, when I say he's very intelligent, okay, intelligent is an adjective, very is an adverb.
Adverb.
Okay, an adverb adds meaning to an adjective. So she is very intelligent. So very is an adverb. Make sense, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can move on then.
Yeah.
However, she continued to be a patron of some charities. She continued to be a patron of some charities. Okay, she continued to be. After continue, we can use either to be, she continued being, both are fine. Here, to be can be replaced with being because after continue,
Being.
both options are equally correct without any change in meaning. She continued being a patron. She continued to be a patron. He continued calling me. He continued to call me. No problems. She continued meeting me. She continued to meet me. Both are the same. No difference in meaning. It is the rule for continue, everybody. My focus is on the verb continue. She continued to be a patron. She continued being a patron. What is a patron? A patron is a person who financially supports an organization or a person. Okay, so you are called a patron. So she continued to be a patron of some charities. So a patron is a person who financially supports an organization or a person sometimes. Or maybe Zafri, you pick up some task, some in something in life, like you decide to help poor
Help
people,
Cooper.
help children who do not go to school, and then I help you, okay, financially. Then I'm your patron. Okay. Whose job is it to provide for the family, for the children? Fathers. Father also comes from the same word pat. Okay, so similar roots, patron. A patron is a person who financially supports, okay, an organization,
Charity. Poor people.
charity, or a person. Suppose I go online and I start doing some what do you call
Free
it?
course.
Activism, some activism. Okay, I do some activism. For example, I start talking about what would I like to do or activism for. Um, I would like to do activism for a more rational society. I will go on YouTube and I will start talking to people about why they should give up their superstitions. Maybe, yeah, maybe he's a journalist. Okay, so those people who support him, give him money. Yeah, you are doing a good job. They are his patron. Okay, so if I do something like that, and some people will send me money that you are doing a good job, they will be my patron. A patron is someone who supports you financially.
He said my viewers is of
My viewership means a small number of people watch him. A small number of people watch him. That's what he means. Okay. The fear of catching it from where were I think we were doing here. Okay.
Yeah.
She continued to be a patron of some charities. Got it? She
Including
continued supporting financially some charities.
charity.
That's what it means, everybody, including Centerpoint. So some charities, and these some charities including, or these some charities included Centerpoint for homeless people. So let's say, well, let's read this sentence one more time. She continued to be a patron of some charities, including Centerpoint. I don't want this comma, I want a full stop here. Okay? She continued to be a patron of some charities, full stop. Now, what do I write next to continue this message? These charities included
These charities include.
These charities included Centerpoint for homeless people. She visited the charities
For
shelters
poor people.
regularly up until she died. She visited the charities shelters. Shelters are places. Shelters are Places.
Places.
She visited the charity shelters. Okay, for homeless people. Now, homeless people need a place to live, right? So that is called a shelter. Shelter
Shelter.
is a place to live when you are helpless. Okay. For
Homeless
example,
from people.
Bangladesh's prime minister, what is her name? Khalida Jia? Sheikh Hasina. Sheikh Hasina has found shelter in India. She has found shelter in India. Okay. India has offered her shelter. So she is staying in India. Everybody understood shelter? Now, let me explain. I'm going to say another sentence. I want you to apply my knowledge, okay? And that is what makes me confident that you are on the right path. If you listen to something from me and you fail to apply it, then what's the point? Because I think I teach practical stuff. So I'm going to say a sentence. Tell me if you understand. Some parents try to shelter their children from all the crisis in their lives. Some parents try to shelter their children, okay, from all the crisis that help them, grow, actually become mature. But some parents have very protective and very, oh, they're overprotective. They try to shelter their children. Are you getting the meaning now? They try to shelter their
Yeah.
children. Now tell me, this word shelter is the same shelter noun or another thing here in my sentence? They try to shelter their children. They shelter their children. When I
Sir,
say they shelter their children, and if you guys have passed the elementary level, then you should confidently say they shelter. This shelter is a verb. Because after they, you can only use a verb. After the subject, you can only use a verb. They shelter their children. Now, the meaning is related, but it is another part of a speech. It is a verb now. They shelter. You don't try to shelter me. Okay, I can take care of myself. Okay, so shelter someone means to give them that kind of protection, help,
Pressure.
shelter where they can feel safe. After flying all day long, birds find shelter in their nests. Okay, so shelter is an idea where you stay. That place is called shelter. Okay. Um,
Indira Gandhi sheltered her uh, grandson Rahul Gandhi
uh, you know, fine, no problems. In what way did she shelter him?
because he didn't study. He didn't study here because he is a prime minister's son.
You're talking about Rahul Gandhi.
Rahul Gandhi. Yeah.
Okay. Listen, shelter, when you say, again, you got it right grammatically, but the feel for the word comes with time, Zafri. Like I said, shelter, when I said some parents try to shelter their children from all the crisis they will face, which will help them grow, actually, mature. So what happens? For example, Simran, they were being protective of you and they were asking you to stay at home, right? Now you are there on your own, away from home. You are facing problems, challenges, but all these things are contributing to your growth as well, right? So some parents stop this. They think my children are very innocent, they can't handle it. So they're always there, overprotective parents. Overprotective parents. Okay. Why do you have an umbrella? That umbrella shelters you from the rain. That umbrella shelters you from the rain. So the feeling of the word you will get slowly and slowly. No teacher can push all that feeling and the idea in your head all of a sudden. But you can understand that shelter is a noun. You offer somebody shelter. Okay. Now, shelter homes, we call it. Shelter homes for old people, for homeless people, shelter homes, for girls, those who don't have a place to live, they go and live there. A shelter. Okay. So shelter is a noun and shelter is a verb. Slowly and slowly, you guys will understand it better. You can definitely, this is where hard work comes into the picture. You guys have Cambridge Dictionary. right? If you really want to understand this word more deeply, then you can definitely look it up on, online, like in Cambridge Dictionary, maybe, but not Google Translator. I don't want you to use the word Google Translator. Yes, we can. Governments make shelters for homeless people sounds more better. Government makes shelters for homeless people, right?
Check
Yes.
my sentence.
Uh-huh. Where is it? Where is it?
मैंने किया
Where is it?
गलियों का, दिन गलियों में तेरी बातें.
Once you listen to Sabajit sing, Zafri will stop singing, you know. You know Zafri? Sabaji is
No,
such a wonderful singer. I don't know if she has ever sung for you. Where is your
when you
sentence?
sit my back,
Uh-huh.
then you feel
When I'm sitting, when you're riding a bike, right?
behind my back, then you feel
Oh,
who is the
that
best singer.
that makes that makes two of us, you see what happens. I do the same when I'm on my bike. When I'm riding a bike, I can't keep quiet. I have the helmet on, and only I can hear myself. Okay, I don't torture other people, of course. I can only hear, but all the way I'll keep singing. I can't keep quiet when I'm on the bike.
मेरा चालान कर दिया
Me too.
How?
फिर वो तो
Yeah. Uh,
फिर
and you were singing, and you were just lost in your singing.
I tried to test
Uh,
Sir,
okay.
send a sentence.
Okay, Kushi, what are you saying? Your sentence. Where is your sentence?
I sent it you again
Where?
in the chat box.
You haven't
Chat
sent
box.
anything. I can't see anything.
Okay, I'm telling you. My father sheltered me financially.
And my father sheltered me financially. That's meaningful. Yeah, the sense sounds good. Very good. Okay.
Is shelter me when my wife.
Sam, your mic is faulty. It's not very clear, your voice. She visited the charity shelters regularly up until she died. That's lovely expression. Up until she, in Hindi we will say, marte marte,
Marte
jati
marte.
rahi. She visited these charity shelters regularly up until she died. Up until she died. She did not stop. She only stopped when she died. Okay? She loved him until she died. Okay? Okay, like this. Until up until she died. She kept visiting those shelters, regularly up until she died. Okay. So it is 8:30. I don't know how time passes, in your class. Um, well, what can we do? We'll continue tomorrow. Okay, everybody?
Bye,
We,
sir. Good night, sir.
it was the first thing we were doing. I don't know why it took so much time. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Take care. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye, sir. Good night, sir.
Bye bye.
Practice, practice.